folks, Dude here, coming at you all things Wednesday, March 16th, March 16th. And we're going to be talking about things knife-related, knife nerd-related, and if you're not a knife nerd, you might want to tune out now. Why? Because we're going to be speaking about things that pretty much are coming from, well, stuff from back in my youth that I remember kindly. Truth and, well, anybody that knows me from time immemorial, I have been a huge Tectite fan. This one's known as the dive knife. This is the dive knife that was pretty much the one that put them on the map. Pretty much what it is for pretty much all of their construction was almost always a stainless steel blade or, well, it was stainless steel, black or silver. And it was an ABS kind of plastic, Flonic, call it what you will, like old school kind of plastics where they did the serious polymer stuff. And literally this one was known as a catch-all for being cool stuff for dive knives. It was a micro-polished blade, stood up to salt water if you wash it off, really didn't rust real bad, kind of good stuff. Literally the way this thing worked is pretty much you would have it on your person when you're diving. There was a catch, and literally the catch just lifts up, interfaces one of the holes in the blades, locks in, and you would literally have this thing on a couple of straps, which are these two little loops here. There'd be two straps with like spring-loaded buckles. You could put it on a straight part of your body, and it would stay on your person, or it would be on something on the octopus. The octopus is that piece of hose that comes off the scuba arrangement that has like your gauges on board. The one that they had for Tectite was rubber armored, and this knife was on the backside of the octopus. So if you needed a blade, you could pop it out real quick and dirty. Popping something off the base of the floor that you found or stuck to coral, or you're fighting off a fishy, or if you had to cut something if you got hung up. All that kind of cool stuff came into play with the dive knife. Also, it had a belt clip so you could carry the thing offshore, read like on land, and it was cool tech, and pretty much it's a really cool piece of kit for a time period. It's very, very unique. You see them on eBay all the time. They never really go cheap, but they are a very cool knife, and well, also one piece of homogeneous steel. It's not breaking anytime soon. Of that, there was also other iterations. There was one called a hidden edge, and pretty much you had like a ball bearing kind of set up on the lock. The blade would flip out kind of one-handed, kind of a cool little pocket knife. And if you turn it sideways, it pretty much had a blade profile, very much like this one here. And it was two cutouts. When it folded into the handle, you would see the holes through the handle and through the blade. You wouldn't know the blade was there. Hidden blade. Now, this one I'm going to be talking about today is going to be something known as the Wilderness Edge. The Wilderness Edge was really kind of cool. This one actually is one of the rarer or more unusual variants, the solid blade. Usually what it was is you looked at the sheath, and the sheath had the two cutouts for two plastic blocks of that shape of a square and a circle to pop up through the sheath and basically interface with the holes in the blade. It had a safety latch on it, and the blade would actually lock on or off the sheath. The sheath had a little tray that slides out from underneath, contains all kinds of goodies in there. Ferrocerium rod, a ceramic rod for touching up the blade, compass, wire saw, a little fan thing that flipped out with all kinds of like survival instructions. This would actually convert to a fishing rod, so there's a lot of really cool tech on board. But me being the total knife nerd that I am, this one is a shelf piece. I really don't use it. It's just in too nice a shape, and yes, you can see it actually does say Tecna. But I am just a total nerd. Now, I flashed this piece earlier to show you, like, the cool part about, like, the blade design for, like, the hidden edge and, like, the other variant of the Wilderness Edge. But this one is actually a blank. That's right, man. I bought this thing off of eBay because, I just think it's really cool. Also, it is an unsharpened blank. It's got absolutely no edge on there whatsoever. It has no point on there whatsoever. This came out of the factory with just the one stamp on board to say, yes, it's Tecna, but it never was truly finished. Now, you see it does actually have this big hole in the handle, and you're going, why does it have that big honking hole in the handle? Well, there's a reason why. In the design aspects of this thing, they thought it'd be really cool to put a lock on there and a door that flips up that then contains a flashlight. That's right, folks. It actually holds a flashlight in the handle cargo area that then has this little safety latch, that basically locks it in place, and you always have a flashlight on board your knife at all times. Terms of the handle profile, it's not ridiculous. It is a very comfortable handle with a slight sub-hilt. So there's a lot of really cool handling aspects to this thing. Blade-wise, with that flashlight on board, it is butt heavy as a mofo. Even with the full blade and, whatever good shape it's in, it is butt heavy as a mofo because it has that flashlight with the lithium batteries in the butt. Now, there actually is a company that's still around called Tectite that bought up all the stuff that was left over after Tecna decided to go out of business back in, I think, the mid 90s or so. They actually physically stopped operation, and the company called Tectite, so TEKTITE.com. You know, I'm really good about like doing annotations and stuff. They actually picked up production, but they don't stamp their stuff with Tecna any longer. I think usually what it is they just don't stamp them at all. But for me being the total nerd that I am, man, I could not walk away from this guy on eBay saying, please buy me. Please, please, people, please buy me. Also, I didn't get into it for too terribly much. And anytime I see kind of cool stuff like this, for some reason, it just calls to me where I have to have this thing hanging out and in my collection. Now, probably what's going to happen to this thing is I'm probably just going to put a couple magnets on it. I'm going to put it in one of my knife displays, and it's just going to stay there. I don't know if I'm going to orient it vertically or put it off cocked at an angle so you can read the Tecna or what have you, but it is definitely going to be Tecna side out so you can see this. This actually is the Wilderness Edge knife blank. I just couldn't walk away from it. It's just too cool. All right, folks, I'm going to break up on this one. Eat good, keep centering as always. You know it, you love it. Oh, my goodness. Knife nerd goodness. And, of course, I'm clanking stuff. All right, folks, I'm going to break up on this one. Have a good one, and I'll catch you later. See you guys.